Hello, internet friends. Wednesday, I'm back, and unbeknownst to me, in the chat, people are trying to figure out what shirt I was going to wear today. And without knowing that, I had chosen to wear a completely different shirt that I haven't worn in a long time, the baseball shirt. So most people were wrong. Yes, not blue, not green, not orange. Aquariumcoop baseball shirt. No longer can you get one. It's a relic. All right. What chat do I want to read today? I think this one right here. How's everyone doing? I'm doing pretty good. I was trying to take a 10-minute nap, in which I got about 8 of it before the dog barked because UPS delivered something. So we're running on the the nap fumes, if you will. So I will say, right before I went live, I looked and I wanted to see how many members were closing in on the 5-year mark. We've got 10 people who are at 10 people who are at the 58-month mark, which means 2 months to go. And all will be revealed. There is the 5-year member coin, and then the secret prize or reward or whatever. And after going back and forth with my team, I've hit the launch button. Very expensive, very cool. You will be sad that you're not closer to 5 years, I would think. I don't think anybody will be able to say, well, I was expecting something better. So, yeah, you'll get the daydream. 2 months to go. Am I having a lovely day? It was pretty good. I worked out today. Worked out, took a shower, got my business stuff, my emails and all that done earlier. And now for the most part, yeah, my camera is showing this chair that never gets seen usually. It's a half of a chair. Now you know all my secrets. I did get some broth today, still fighting the phlegm from the COVID. How does Wonder Shell differ from crushed coral? That's a good question. Crushed coral will buffer pH and some hardness. But the way crushed coral dissolves, there's softer parts of coral and harder parts. Like, I don't know how to explain it. There's someone who knows corals way better than I do. They would be able to say, like, oh yeah, certain parts of the exoskeleton are just going to be softer. Those dissolve into the water and will add hardness and other minerals to your water right away. And then there's the more, I'm going to call it calcified or something, hard part of the coral that takes much, 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 much longer to dissolve in. And that helps buffer pH and little bits of mineral. Now, Wonder Shell is basically just calcium. It's got some other stuff in there too, but for most of it, mostly just calcium. And it will add lots of hardness to your water. Well, I shouldn't say lots, an amount, depending on how much you dose. And so the difference being crushed coral raises pH and a little bit of hardness temporarily. Wonder Shell, hardness, no pH change. So different tools. They both affect water chemistry in different ways, but useful together sometimes, useful individually. And yeah, we're working on our own calcium buffer product. We'll see. We'll see how it comes when it arrives. 55 months, and most of it I totally forgot about. Never regretted it though. I will say it's crazy to think like pretty soon we're gonna have people that have been members longer than like car loans. Like 60 months is a 5-year car loan. So that's pretty impressive, I would think. There was a post in the group about copper in the water from copper pipes. Can you talk about copper in the water? Sure. We've done that a few times over the years, and mostly it's a red herring. Don't worry about it. There's, you can go to extremes, and technically, hot water through your water heater might have a little bit more, colder water might have a little bit less. In my warehouse, in my retail store, in my fish rooms across different houses, never once have I encountered copper contamination to my aquariums with shrimp and snails and all that, and every single one of them have had tons of copper. The store we're in right now, built in the, I think it was burned down. I think it rebuilt in like 57 or something. But, you know, lots of copper in that place. In fact, we replaced copper with PEX just because it's easier to work with in the store expansion and stuff. But so far, we have never been able to find amounts of copper in water in all the stuff we've done that has made a difference. That being said, each home will be different. Each water source, like a well, there could be stuff in the water, but I would say don't worry about it. That's my official stance is, don't worry about it. Have I seen your previous comment? Sometimes I do. The gist of it was, oh, here it is. I'm humbly asking for some sort of sponsorship with some merch. I'm trying to start my own business, but financially, I'm going backwards. Yeah, that's what businesses do. So, I don't want to open up Pandora's box and just be like, oh, just email us, we'll give you stuff. Like, that's not what we do. Usually, the way a sponsorship works in business works, you have to put forth effort. Someone will notice that effort, and then you'll be rewarded, whether it's with sales, whether it's with a sponsorship, whether, in some way. But the reality is, lots of businesses struggle until you stop struggling. And either when you stop struggling, you've either gone out of business or you figured something out. Maybe you pivoted and do something different in business, different business altogether. Maybe you go, oh, now I know how to keep fish alive and now I can sell them at a profit. Maybe it's now I've learned how to sell this product to somebody else. There's lots of stuff. And so I also don't think it helps much when you just sponsor something that doesn't have hope. And what I mean by that is, if I was to find a very struggling business and I just keep injecting cash, usually just injecting cash is not the answer. Or products or merchandise or whatever, right? If anything, you would need to impart the wisdom and the skills and the things like that. There's probably a bunch of analogies of like, give someone a fish they eat for a day, teach them to fish they eat forever, right? That's kind of how business works. Like, there's no shortcuts, and I lost money as well. I went backwards. I've done all of those things, and I reflect on them, almost weekly. And the one that I use the most is, I still remember eating top ramen behind the Murphy tank before Murphy existed, because that's all we could afford. And there were days, I don't think a lot of people that, someone said they'd only been knew Aquariumcoop exists for the past couple years. You wouldn't know that there was times where you'd be, you show up to work, you work the entire day, and you literally didn't make a single sale. Or you work the entire day, and you cash out the cash register as $21. And that's after you sold something. So it's not like you have $21. You've probably made $5 in profit. But then with overhead and everything, you've actually made nothing. And there's been months that I've lost money being open with employees. Not many. You learn from those. You go, okay, we're going to prepare better next time. What if next summer is this bad? What if? And part of that is just business. And so this is why my biggest recommendation is, instead of before starting a business, run somebody else's business in your space so that you can learn these things and then apply them to your business. Oh, here. That's a weird segue, but I just lost my job. So Pete's been a member for a long time. Any recommendations for increasing the plant sales in my hobbyist plant sales business? Well, not exactly the right time of year. It's a little bit harder to sell plants in the middle of summer in our experience. Um, the biggest logical thing that in all the books you're going to read and stuff you'll learn in business, the best way to actually increase money is not to sell more, which is counterintuitive. Everyone goes, you just sell a billion things for a penny and you're making millions, right? But the reality is most small business owners, myself included, and I'm not going to say that applies to now but in general, it's a very difficult subject for everybody. As small business owners, we undercharge. And it's because we don't have the optics of what is the true cost, the true overhead, what are people actually willing to pay. And there's lots of weird concepts that are hard to grasp in that the one that I would say we see all the time right now on social media is like the value of water, right? And it's like out of your tap, pretty cheap. At a grocery store, it's $1. At a convenience store, it's $2. At a concert, it's $5. At Burning Man, it's $11, right? And so it's the same product, but a different price that people are willing to pay. Now, there are different levels of complaints and stuff like that. Out of your tap water, people, for the most part, don't really complain about their water bill, by and large. But as you get to like, at the grocery store for $1, not so much complaining. $2 at convenience, we know, it's a convenience store, that's convenient. You start hitting concerts and stuff like that at 5 and 11 and sports events, and you start complaining a lot, and yet because of the situation, you're trapped and you'll buy it. So how does that apply to plant sales? Well, what we've found is we can't make enough plants, we can't buy enough plants, we can't predict how plants will move, as in getting them to the customer. Sometimes, like right now, Zenzo is on his way up to Washington to work. His flight's been delayed by 3 hours, right? Another person in the industry, they're stuck in like Florida or something right now because of weather, right? All those things affect profitability of a plant. And so my suggestion would be, yes, work on selling more, but also work on potentially selling them for more. And that might come in the form of marketing. That might come in the form of the way you package them. And there are markets for everything, right? The one that's usually the easiest is the cheap market. The cheaper you make it, you will have customers, right? But there are also people looking for the best. And if you're in that cheap market, you wouldn't get the high-end market. There's people in the middle. There's all kinds of markets. And the easiest one, because it requires the least amount of business prowess, is the cheap one. Like, I'll make cryptocorns, I'll sell them for 50 cents. You'll sell lots, but will you make lots of money? Probably not, especially if you need that income. So my advice is work on bringing the prices up through service. That's what we try to do. So good customer service, good shipping, more information, better quality, right? You might be able to go, like, a perfect example, when people want to sell us plants, they basically want to bring in a 5-gallon bucket and all the trimmings from 5 different aquariums, nothing's labeled or anything, it's just a 5-gallon bucket. And they go, what will you give me for this? And they're always shocked when we say nothing. And they go, why not? You know how much this is worth? And I go, nothing. Because nothing's labeled. We don't know how much of anything is in there. We don't know if it has algae. We don't know all these things. And so at best, if we took it for free, I can then pay employees to sort, make educated guesses, bag them up, hope we have a buyer that wants plants that don't have roots, right? All of these things. And when they ask questions, was it growing highlight? I don't know. Was it growing CO2? Yeah, I'm not sure, right? So there's all these unknowns. And even if you provide that information, how do I get that information to 7 different people selling it? When you go, oh yes, the valve in this tank was, but the valve in that tank wasn't, etc. Now you take that same person and you go, okay, next time they come in, and they go, okay, I've got baggies. Each baggie is a different plant. Now, we might be go, okay, I can give you $1 a bag. And you go, that's not enough. That's barely the cost of the Ziploc bags. And I go, yep, we still have to parcel them and sell them. And sometimes people say, well, just sell them in that bag. And it's like, okay, great, but we have 10 pots worth of Vallisneria, and what are we gonna do? Sell it for $5? That's gonna steal sales from other stuff, right? So then eventually people will level up again, and now they'll be buying the pots and the rock wool, and they'll be trimming, and they'll plant those into their pots. They will grow them for a week or two, so they got roots coming out the bottom. They'll bring those in. Now we're buying those for, I don't know, $5 a piece. Depends on the species. Some are way more. Like if you have something rare like pink flamingos, or you have submerged grown. I'm having a brain fart. Submerged grown Pogostemon erectus, stuff that you can't buy out there in the open market as a submerged grown plant, or even something you can find every once in a while like water wisteria. Very, very common plant. No farm sells it submerged. So we can give lots more money for those things, or a nice, big, beautiful tiger lotus with all the leaves that haven't been damaged. So there are ways to apply different amounts of money to the same exact thing in theory, even though all of those things were different to the customer. Which we in that example, we're the customer. We then turn around and sell it to a new customer. And with us, the products do change, right? So if we buy a product from somebody, and then now we repackage it basically and put our brand name on it, we're standing behind it with customer service. We're standing behind it with returns. We'll take credit cards. We'll do all of these things, which the average person that's growing it isn't set up that way. You don't have basically a full customer service team trying to ensure that you can grow that plant and take emails and stuff all the time. So that might be other ways you can increase your plant sales by increasing the money, increase the offering for that money. You're always trying to get a good value to your customer. That's always going to remain true. That, you know, if a cryptocorn is 50 cents, this one's $2, this one's $5, this one's $12, this one's $20. What else are you getting? You know, that 50-cent cryptocorn usually doesn't have a heat pack or a liner or these things. And you'll see that happen with our competitors where, oh, their plants are cheaper. Yes. And then, oh, what do you mean their heat packs are $4? What do you mean a liner is $3? So all those things add up. And pretty soon, usually, and shipping's another big one. Like a lot of our competitors, they'll underprice a plant. Well, not underprice. They'll price a plant accordingly, and they'll say, okay, it's $6. But I do this comparison shopping all the time. Okay, I'd like to buy this plant. And, oh, shipping is $12. Oh, and the heat pack costs $4. And the liner is $3. Pretty soon, we are the cheapest because we're including a lot of those steps for free. The shipping, oh, it's $5. The heat pack's free. The liner's free, right? So you gotta shop smart, and we won't always win. There's no way every business always wins on every product. Just because businesses aren't set up to do that, right? So Walmart's never gonna beat Costco at selling $1.49 hot dogs. Just not gonna happen because Costco owns farms and everything to make that happen now. But they can be competitive, and maybe it's convenient for you to buy a hot dog while you're at Walmart for $1.89 because it's convenient. All right. Looking for trouble? Seems I haven't found it yet. Going to my first fish swap. I'm there to just buy fish. Any advice on what to bring with me to transport them? It's a 1-hour drive. I'm assuming the sellers would supply a bag with water. Yeah. So the thing to know, if you're going as a buyer and you've never been a seller, a lot of times those fish have been in a bag since the day before. In a best case scenario, someone's getting up extra early, starting the bag at 4 or 5 a.m., and the auction might start at 10 or 11 a.m. in the morning. But all the lots they're bringing takes time to sort and bag the fish, put the labels on them, all that kind of stuff. So in worst case scenarios, you've got maybe some amateurs, too many fish to the bag, or just something went wrong. Got a little too cold, one of the fish died, there's starting to be some ammonia, stuff like that, right? So in my opinion, the best things you could have on hand, and by on hand, I basically mean in your car, something to neutralize kind of ammonia. Maybe it's Prime, maybe it's Fritz Complete. Pick a dechlorinator of your choice. I would say a cooler, whether it's like, I don't have the tote bag in here, like one of our tote bags, like the insulated bag, or like just an actual like cooler you take camping, and then like a battery powered air pump. Between those, let's say you buy 6 or 7 different bags of fish, one's in distress, great. You can kind of let that into, you open the bag and add some dechlorinator to that. Then you might be able to find another source of water. Maybe at the hall you're at, you can get some water out of the sink, dechlorinate that. Maybe you've got a bucket, or for sure there's usually fish bags around. You do a water change. Maybe you let the air keep going in there. You put the other bags in the cooler, and you drive home for that hour. Now, if you're buying big fish, which happens sometimes, big plecos, koi, big Oscar, that stuff will show up in like a 5-gallon bucket a lot of times at a show or a convention or a local swap. That's definitely where you want to have a battery-powered air pump to make sure it stays fully aerated on the way home. These things might be fully aerated at the different booths at the swap, but then once you take possession of it, you're not a race against time, but if each booth usually has power, you're not going to have power walking around. So you might buy it and you come pick it up on your way out, but you still have an hour with no air, and stress levels are high on fish when they've been, kind of in that environment, picked up and looked at all day. And then you've got an hour home, and there's always things that can go wrong. I don't know how many times I've gone to our local meeting, which happens to be at night, and on the way home, which is normally an hour to hour and 10 minutes, there's construction, and now it's 2+ hours. And so that would be detrimental to the fish. And so having those backups, and you can get that kit down pretty small, right? What I did a lot of times is have a foldable cooler tote type thing, put it in a little like plastic container tote, and there's an air pump in there and some dechlorinator, a couple extra fish bags, and a net. And that just sits like, hey, this is my to-go kit when I go to anywhere there's going to be fish. So if you're doing a big shopping day at different stores, if you're going to a swap meet, if you're going to a club event, any of those, you're just ready to go. And also, even if you buy nothing, you're ready to help somebody else. Like, hey, I got a bag for you, don't worry. Oh, hey, you can borrow this. Always good to be ready. Those are also a lot of things we fly with. If you ever go to a convention like Aquashella or, like the library convention, a lot of times what you do is you take a big duffel bag and you take a sweater box. They're not that tall, but they're big, and that works as a pretty good aquarium on the counter of your hotel bathroom. And yeah, you get some air going, some dechlorinator, and you crank that temperature up in the hotel room, and it's brutal, but it'll get you some fish. What about a large fish? Well, large fish bag. Ugh. What about large fish in bags with oxygen to ship? Um, well, in general, large fish in bags is already a little bit problematic. You need to make sure they can't puncture through the bags or things like that. A lot of times, like a big arowana gets shipped actually in a cooler. You do airport to airport, so you have to be a known shipper a lot of times to use the airport. And then also a lot of times when you're shipping big fish, sedatives are used so that they're slowing down their whole system, so they're using less oxygen, less likely to thrash, all of those things. And a lot of times that's why big fish are pickup only. But in extreme cases where real valuable fish are moved around, that's how they do it normally. But it's still, everyone knows that there's a lot of variables going on there that aren't the easiest to foresee. I've got 5 female guppies to avoid babies. Wait, hold on. I got 5 female guppies to avoid babies and ended up with 100 a few months later. Too many hiding spots for the babies. Yeah, they definitely can store sperm and continue to have more and more babies. This hot broth is now cleaning up my sinuses, so I apologize. I used river rock from my yard in a tank. I rinsed it, of course. Everyone was okay, but my blue Panac pleco, he died. Possible contaminant on the rock that affects that rasper. So rasping means that's how they eat. They rasp on stuff. There's always that chance. Sometimes the rock might change water parameters. One big thing that I watch a lot of people do because they might test a rock or something like that is they'll let it sit outside like in the sun and they'll rinse it and all that. And I've watched a lot of people put really cold or really hot rocks into an aquarium and they don't realize that a really hot rock changes temperature or a really cold rock, like putting an ice pack in there. But yes, could it be something specifically to affect one species? Yes. Is it likely? Not in my experience, but a lot of times we'll do something and it will have no correlation with the effect that we're seeing, but because we did those together, they get associated. That happens all the time in business, by the way. The first thing to be blamed when something goes wrong is the last thing I did. Well, the last thing I did was buy freeze-dried brine shrimp from Aquariumcoop, so it must be that. The last thing I did was this. And it's a logical thing because so often in our life, the last thing we did does end in results of, hey, that's why that happened. But not always. And so, a lot of times you really got to walk some people back going, I understand you bought, a heater holder, but it's very unlikely that that heater holder, which we've sold 40,000 of this year, that one specific one was contaminated and killed your aquarium. It's much more likely to have lotion on your hand when you installed that heater holder or any other million scenarios. But, usually in business it's easier to refund money and apologize 100 times than talk to people when they don't want to be wrong. So we just do that. We just give your money back and go, I'm so sorry. We'll look into it. And we do look into it, but then we go, yeah, we tried 6 different ones. No one's having problems. Like, okay. Do I still have rainbow shiners? If not, what didn't you like about them? Well, there's 2 things to know. Just because I don't own a fish doesn't mean I don't like them. They were in the pond totes, and I love that fish. But they're best viewed from top down, in my opinion. And I needed to downsize some to tear down all those ponds. So they went to the store and got sold. And for me, a lot of times it's not really detrimental. So maybe let's say I buy those rainbow shiners at $5 each, and I grow them out for 2 years, and now they look amazing. And then they sell in the retail store for $12.99 each. We make money, and then I can always go, like, I own a fish store. I can order more down the road, and so I go, okay, I'll get rid of those for now. And then when I set up a new tank that I want to do that's overhead, I'll get some more in. And every once in a while, it does bite me, where, oh man, I have not been able to find those in years. I wish I had never, ever gotten rid of those. Have we had any updates on the baby musk turtles? We haven't. I have been crazy busy, and I have not shot anything yet. I fully intend to. But Katie, my wife, she fed the turtles today. She's got them on to eating frozen bloodworms, and, that was a big, exciting moment. That was 2 days ago. And, yeah. I mean, on Saturday, it was Dean, myself, Brandon, and Zach. And we put a 14-hour day in working on the expansion. So, before that, there's driving on each side with like an hour. And so it was a 16-hour day for me. It means like, oh, on Sunday, should I go film? Should. Or I can rest up and kind of try to catch up on some sleep and everything. So yes, there will be some updates. There hasn't been yet. I'm kind of in the back of my mind. I'm kind of waiting for like another one to hatch and be like, "Oh my gosh, baby turtle, so cute," and then show like these guys hatched a month ago, so cute. Because right now, if it's like here's these turtles they hatched, that's not really enough to constitute a video, I would say. So I need a little more. Instead of like, here's a 2-minute update, baby turtle's crazy, and then it's done. Let's see here. By the way, good to see Candy back in the chat. Zenzo with his delayed flight and all of that. Schedules changed, and the standing meetings that she normally had didn't line up this week. So good to have you back in the chat. Since moss balls are often sourced from Ukraine, have I had any difficulty importing any? I'm not sure if they're still coming from Ukraine, since the muscle moss ball thing. It took what, almost 2 years before the farms were able to get them back. So the way plants really work is plants are either grown in the wild or grown by mega farms around the world, and the farms in the United States will order from those places. So they order, they get them in, and then they put them in pots, right? They put plant weights around them, or they grow them a little bit more, or maybe they got to get the Java fern to attach to the wood. So they apply their process to it. That way they get to charge more, and then eventually they make it to a retailer like me, and we get to sell them. And so, yeah, they were having a lot of, the past 2 years, once the muscle thing, they had to get X amount of shipments to come in muscle free, and that was proving difficult. And so they kept setting up new locations to make them, and then even, you set up a new pond to basically make these things. Let's say you bring over 50 moss balls that are actually muscle free and all that, they still got to populate, and you got to do the work. So I think that demand still outstrips supply. And let's see if we have it in stock right now. We do not. And this would be a scenario. This is a great scenario for the plant sellers and other companies and stuff like that. We used to sell, I think, moss balls at $5.99. The price went up quite a bit when there was this massive disruption over the last few years. Now we sell them at $8.99. And in my mind, I'm going, this is the craziest thing ever. Because 15 years ago, moss balls were $3, $2 at a store. But shipping was also 1/10 of the price, and inflation was down, and there wasn't the moss ball problems and all these things. And so even at $8.99, which is crazy, we're sold out. But a moss ball is totally worth it. I know the most expensive moss ball I've ever bought was $40. It was like this big. So I do I do believe in plant or like live things are worth way more than we pay. Like to me, my dogs, even though they were like, let's call them $200 each because they were rescues, they're worth $20,000, $50,000. Like however much extra money I could come up with, the dogs would be worth it to me because I get enjoyment from them every single day. They make me laugh, they make me cry, they make me giggle, they stink up the bedroom with farts. They're totally worth it, every penny ever. And fish, I think, are that way too, and plants of, neon tetras are cheap, but they're one of the coolest looking fish that everyone agrees on. And you're sitting there going, I hate neon tetras. But collectively as a hobby, we all go, neon tetras are neat. And they're very cheap for that enjoyment. And so the fact that we can keep an aquarium on our desk or in our home for, let's say, under $500 is an amazing bargain when you look at that $500 investment. If you bought a fish you could breed and stuff like that, you could probably get 20 or 30 years of enjoyment out of it if you bought an acrylic aquarium. So crazy good return. So I feel like there's a lot of room for growth in the pricing of things. And that's evident in other parts of the world. We get stuff very cheap. Aquariums are very, very cheap in the United States compared to a lot of the world. And that's how I know. It's not that I want prices to go up. So don't mistake that Corey just wants everything to sell for the most, because the reality is when we sell a moss ball for $8.99, we're not making more money than when we sold it for $5.99. We just pay more for it too, so we don't really make any more money. In fact, we make less money technically because we're paying credit card fees and it just costs more. Anyway, but when you see thriving hobbies in different countries where they're paying a lot more for the same supplies, you can see even if this became this expensive, the hobby would still be around and people would still be enjoying it. And even with the cost of electricity in some countries being through the roof, they're just paring back and being a little bit smarter is all. And if that happened here to me, maybe instead of keeping 20 aquariums, I'd only keep 8. And it's not that sad of a story when you're going, oh, you only keep 8 aquariums? Like, yeah, that's not that sad. Yeah, dogs are family. It's good and bad. I mean, they're definitely more family than most fish for me, and it's because if I need to go out of town, I have to plan like who's gonna stay and watch my dogs. Fish, if I'm out of town for 2 days, auto feeders can handle it, right? So my fish don't really go to the vet and all of that, and so I don't take my fish for a walk, take my dogs for a walk. Yeah. The thoughts on bottom feeding fish that get along with cherry shrimp. I've got a newly set up 75 with some shrimp and some harlequin rasboras. Most sucker-based fish, so like plecos, reticulated hillstream loaches, those work really well in my experience with shrimp. Trying to think what else. Like red lizard catfish work pretty well. Dwarf anchor cats, in my opinion. Now this is putting aside the fact that all fish will eat, or let me back that up. All fish could eat baby little shrimplets. So putting that aside and assuming we're making way more shrimps than they're gonna eat, most autosynclists, most things with like sucker mouth type stuff won't be actively chasing down too many shrimp. So that's where I would go with that. And even sometimes when you think, oh man, this is going to be a bad combo, like I kept culling shrimp. So the ones that were the wrong colors in the colors I was breeding into the turtle tank, going, ooh, these are going to be some good calcium snacks for the musk turtles. And instead, we're just breeding tons of shrimp in the musk turtle tank. So even though they will bite each other aggressively, apparently the shrimp are too fast, or they don't like the taste, or whatever it is. But I mean, I'm sure some get clipped, like, hey, that was a good snack. But they're making more than are being eaten by far. So it's pretty cool. Would I go out and recommend, okay, hey, go buy 10 cherry shrimp at full price and put them with your turtle? No, I wouldn't, because odds are it wouldn't work, but it is working in my case. All right. I noticed the trio isn't for sale anymore. Is there any reason why? Monica, we sell all the meds. We just, depending on where in the aquarium life cycle you are, way back in the day, we used to sell it as a trio. And what that meant was you would buy one product and it would come with all 3, right? But as we evolved as a company, that led room for mistakes. And so way back then, we sold it as a trio. What would happen is back in those days, we'd have someone with a piece of paper and they go, okay, I need a Maricin, I need a Paracleanse, and I need an ICX. Well, 1 out of 30 times, someone would go, oh, I need a Maricin, I need a Paracleanse, but actually grab another Maricin and an ICX. So We then adopted a system that everything gets scanned. And then if you go, oh, I need a Marison, and it goes bloop, and I need a Paracleanse, but you scan Marison again, it goes, and then you go, oh, I have the wrong product. You get the right product, and you go bloop. And then that also happens at the checkout station where we're packing your order. Everything gets scanned, bloop, 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 bloop. And then we're also making sure that, oh, you ordered 2 trios. And the person who pulled it hit the number 2, bloop, number 2, bloop, number 2, bloop. But they missed one. And so when you're at the packing station, everyone gets scanned individually. Bloop, 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 bloop. And that's how we catch mistakes. And that's how we can go up to, I think our record is 92 days or something like that without a single item being incorrect. Now, when we ship out thousands of items a day, that's pretty good. But there's, with new processes, new hires and stuff like that, there's always room for, ooh, yeah. And sometimes it's mistakes with manufacturers. We've had that happen where wrong labels on wrong products and that. And sometimes the biggest thing actually is a plant misship. That's the biggest thing because those we have to apply barcodes to. And if you had a late night and it's an early morning and you're trying to differentiate between Amazon sword and Ocelot sword and you just pack those back to back and you grab the wrong sticker, right? Pretty easy mistake. So when we change the process, try and prevent that so the same plant prepper won't ever do those 2 in a row anymore. But as different combinations come up over the years, we go, oh, that's another way we could slip through the cracks. That's not good. Let's try and fix it. Bloop, bloop, bloop. I'm sure the pickers and the packers, they just hear that sound in their dreams at this point. You just don't want to hear because then your whole flow gets messed up. Like, what? And then you gotta go, okay, what's beeping at me wrong? And so, yeah, a lot of products that even sold very well, we stopped selling. Basically, we had this big initiative in the warehouse. If it can't be barcoded, we won't sell it. And so some things like wood and rock, we could barcode it, but we didn't have the personnel to do all of that. And so some stuff will slowly be coming back on. Some of it's we don't have enough storage. So like one of the unintended things, maybe not, I don't know if it's unintended, but as we develop like our own lights, like, okay, well, there's a massive amount of space stored with lights because before when you order from Fluval, we would order, well, in theory, right, in a perfect scenario with your wholesaler, you might order 2 weeks worth, right? So you sell 1 week's worth, you place another order, you've got a week's worth to hold you while the new order comes in, and there it goes, right? This keeps going like clockwork. Well, with Fluval, we would order like a month's worth. And then as fulfillment rates got worse and worse, we were ordering 2 months and 3 months and 6 months worth. But now, when we have to produce our own product, we now are ordering more like a year's worth. Plus, we're storing for another 100 stores. And so, some products are big and bulky, right? If I need to sell coins, you can fit a lot of coins in a small space. If I need to sell these mugs, and we need 1,000 of these, they don't nest, they don't stack. And so, sometimes we have to go, that product is amazing, and it will totally work once we get a bigger warehouse. Or once we stop selling this product and have room for this product. And so, yeah, there's been lots of evolutions and things to learn that we didn't anticipate. Okie dokie. One of my glowfish tetras looks fatter than the rest. How can I tell if it's constipated or it's full of eggs? Well, if it's slightly bigger, I would say it's full of eggs. Most people, when they go, oh, this one is, big, that's actually either, my brain needs to catch up, organ failure, or it being egg-bound or constipated. So a lot of times, by the time that you see the problem, it's actually pretty advanced. And so there's not a lot you're going to be able to do for most times. I'd say 9 out of 10 times, it's long-term, it's fatal. With 1 out of 10 being, yeah, I cured it. but I don't have a great track record with it. I don't know anyone that does. I'm sure there'll be people, I cured it, like, I get it. But when I'm talking track record, I'm going, yeah, each year we see 10,000 cases of it, and the outlook's not good for all the things we've tried. So it's, yeah, I wish we found the answer to that. How do I convince my wife to let me get an Aquariumcoop tattoo? That realm sketches me out. On one hand, I totally get it. On the other hand, I think you're crazy for considering it. And then my worst fear is, what if it came out badly? Like, if it comes out really well, tattoo artist does a great job and all that. Like, okay, that's kind of neat. But then also, I'm mostly terrified of the encounter. I'm at the airport. You go, oh my gosh, there's Corey. You introduce yourself, and then you're like, you gotta check it out. And then I'm like on the spot of like, in my mind, I'm going, oh my gosh, you have an Aquariumcoop tattoo. I'm also going, is that or isn't that cool? And then on top of all that, I'm going, what is the appropriate response to this in this setting right now? So it's a bit much. Zenzo, I think he's got kind of a cooler logo, like more, I'm going to say more tattoo worthy than our logos. So I think that goes over a little easier. He's had that moment before. Um, but yeah, I mean, if I don't even want to put that out there, but if you're instead of a brand logo, maybe go with a slogan. Maybe you enjoy nature, or maybe aquarium saved your life, something like that. There's probably something uh, similar meaning that doesn't have to be a brand thing. Because I don't want it to, I don't, because people joke about it, like, if I get it, can I get a discount and this and that? And it's like, I don't really want to encourage that. I want people, if you want to do something like that, that's your own personal journey, and not, I'm gonna do this to get a benefit. So I already got nerve on my knuckles. That's right. Watching from Canada. I'm live streaming from the United States. Do I have any tips for albino koi guppies? The females look gravid, but I don't see them drop any fry. The only tip I really have is more cover or more separation. I've done more guppies than I can probably give a realistic number to in my life. And anytime I'm really struggling, I'm discounting the fact of how many fish are in the aquarium and how fast they get consumed. And so either I need to feed way more food, or I need to separate, or way more cover, and then I'll start getting babies. But it's kind of a simple thing of like, live bears just kind of have more babies. If you're not seeing the babies, we've got an environment that's not conducive to that. And so changing the environment, and some of that, easiest way, old school, right? Just put it in its own aquarium. It will make more. Every once in a while, you'll get a fish that will not give birth. It'll reabsorb because it's too stressed or whatnot. That can happen. But if you have 6 females and 3 males, that's not happening to all 6 at the same time. Probably getting eaten or sucked into an intake of a filter or some other environmental factor going on. And so I keep my way I keep fish is, if it's not working, and it should be, try something else. As in, okay, well, I had a sponge filter, wasn't working. I'm going to try it under gravel. Okay, that's not working. I'm going to try moving the females to another tank. Okay, that's not working. I'm going to try infinite cover. And it could be as simple as, like, I know things I've tried in the past where you've got all the plants along the bottom, that should be working. You've got a sponge filter, that should be working. All right, I'm going to cover the entire top with bio balls so that the babies, they can go in there and the adults can't get to them. And if that doesn't work, great. Well, I've got a bunch of bio balls with bacteria that I can seed other aquariums with. you'll find a system that's going to work in your aquariums and for that fish. And then you'll look back on it going, yeah, it's a matter of just getting the right ingredients together will get you the result you want. Do you need to quarantine plants? I myself am in the camp of no. There's lots of people in the camp of yes. The things to look out for would be parasites. I myself have never been able to correlate new plant disease on my fish. I don't go out of my way to go, hey, here's my diseased aquarium. Let me move all my plants around my fish room. So I don't willingly do it, but most plants from a farm come in where they weren't even in water. And then when they land in an aquarium at a pet store, let's say, sure, there's going to be a few fish, but usually, the odds of them being sick with something that can be transferred in on a plant out of water to your tank are low. So yeah, I personally don't. Now, algae and maybe pest snails, some people do, but I watch people all the time. You quarantine your plants for the next 22 years, then you put them in your display tank, and then your nutrients and your light is off, and you make algae anyway. So it's people love to think if I never introduce algae, I can't have algae. And the reality is your fish is pooping out algae spores, the water has algae spores, the air has algae spores. Like it will be introduced. There's no way to do it, and you don't want to do it. You don't want to keep a truly sterile aquarium. If we could do these things, we would. We'd all run UV sterilizers, and no one would ever have any problems at all. But that doesn't work. And so, you're keeping an ecosystem, and there's going to be inputs and outputs. Things land in the water, things leave the water. You introduce things, you take away things, and we manage that. My fish had babies. I put this food in. I stopped feeding that food. I added this plant. I took those plants out. I moved, different water source. My local water source changes. Time of year changes. Temperatures change. There's a million things going on, and we're just trying. It's like each day we're presented with a new puzzle, and we go, okay, what's the answer to this one? The answer to this one today is feed the fish. And tomorrow it's feed the fish. And then it's, we got babies. Feed the fish, but with baby food. And then the next day it's, nitrates are kind of high. I've been feeding all these fish. Let me do some water change. That's the answer today. And then the next day is, the plants are looking a little yellow. Okay, the answer today is fertilize the plants. And then, so there's always a puzzle in front of you if you're looking for it. And you can choose what puzzles you want to start solving. Sometimes a little bit of algae in the corner, I don't want to solve that thing. It's fine for me. If it's all over and I can't see my fish, I want to solve that one. Have I ever made my own frozen fish food? I've tried where you buy like beef heart and other stuff, and it fed out pretty messy, so I didn't like that. I didn't save much money because at the time I had like 20 or 30 aquariums, and I'm going to say not that many, right? And when you're buying beef heart and other things and shrimp, you're buying so much of it. And these are things that I normally don't eat. I normally don't eat beef heart. So it wasn't like I'm going to just take a little bit what I was already going to buy. It's like, I guess 3 pounds of beef heart for $7, the smallest one I can buy. Okay, and I need this and I need that. And by the time I spent all that money and then blended it all up and did all the things and tried to put the right amount of gelatin in and all these things, I was like, I basically just spent $100 making fish food when for my frozen food in my tanks, that's like an entire year's worth of budget. And I didn't get the variance I wanted, and it's not as cleanly feeding as I wanted. So I didn't dabble in that too many more times. I found value in just buying, for the most part, I buy whole ingredient frozen foods. Frozen bloodworms, frozen brine shrimp, frozen cyclops. Those are the big ones that I buy fairly often. And we still feed them in the fish room to this day. Clams, just boom, half clam, clams on a half shell. Not so much the metallies and the mixes that you can buy, because I find all those metallies or all the mixes of frozen foods feed out not very clean. So I don't like that. I like a food to feed out clean. Like, don't get me wrong, they got to eat it, I got to poop it out, but I don't need it. Let's say you can eat a sandwich and you get a few crumbs on you. or you can eat a taco and you're wearing it, right? So day in and day out in that aquarium, I want the sandwich experience, not the taco experience. Did I ever get my Rolex? I did. I rarely get a chance to wear it because I wear the Apple Watch. I only wear it when I want to feel fancy. What fish do we recommend for a 26-gallon boat front tank? I would look up our videos and our articles on the 20-gallon high. All of those apply to the boat front. Let's see. When is Vanity membership coming with less benefits but more costs and emojis? I do consider other levels, but my honest thing is whenever I do any product or anything and I'm going to take someone's money, I really try to go, and this is an honest thing, and some people might not agree. I honestly go, do I think this is worth the money? So in my opinion, the $5 membership has insane value compared to the $5. Like, in my personal opinion, the monthly talk we put on, I would probably pay $20 a month to be a part of that because it's very niche learning and all of that. Now, 15 years ago when I was new to the hobby, would I have? No, far too nerdy for what I want. Now, like, how much would Dean and I pay for a talk that's even nerdier? $100 a month, right? Like, not sure. So when it comes to these other membership levels, I always go like, it would be fun. Like I know, if I think to myself like, I would be willing to pay more money, but I want something provided that I would enjoy. And I'm trying to go, but what would that be? And I don't want to under deliver. I don't want to be like, we're gonna do XYZ and then not deliver on it. And so maybe someday, in my mind, I keep thinking about what could be a high level tier, but the benefits that I would enjoy too. Meaning that I know I could set a tier at $500 and people would buy that tier for, let's say, business advice because they own a fish store, or they buy it for a month so they get an hour with Dean and I about planning their fish room. Like people would do it, but would Dean and I or myself enjoy that? Not after the first couple. It would be fun initially. And so I want something sustainable. And $500 is a huge, like to provide the value at $500, I'm not sure you could ever do it long term. But maybe there's a $20 level or a $50 level. And, the only thing I've ever come up with that I someday kind of want to do is a higher level where we would automatically ship you stuff every month. And I feel like I could have some fun with that. But would that get boring to me of like, oh no, we're month 11. Like, what else can we do? I'm getting bored of this. So I've just left it at $5, and I hope that people see infinite value. You get the monthly streams where we hire what we consider to be a person that's good in their field. You can watch all the back talks that we've had, so the last 14 of them or whatnot. You get the members only videos, which there's one coming up here. I don't know if it's this week or next, but a member only video. You get a 5% discount at our online store and in our person or on our retail store. There's also a bunch of stores out throughout the country that also honor that discount if you're a member. You get the coins, which is just kind of a fun little, let's be honest, I enjoy it. So you've got, the 1-year membership coin, boom, and the 2-year membership coin. You can buy this one. And then you've got the 3-year coin. Wait, is this just 2 years? What am I doing here? Oh, 3-year, and this is 2-year and 1 year. So the 5's pretty cool that's coming. You guys haven't seen that yet. And we've added a 5th, the 5-year mark. There is the special thing. I think the retail value. Let me see if I can Google it. Let me see if I can. The retail value. Ooh, I wonder if we can get that. I don't know if they're in production yet, but there's a color I want. Because it's a limited edition. Woo, woo. The retail value that people get if you were to go buy one apparently is $40. So, I think that's a pretty good return on your investment because you're getting all these perks over the years anyway, and then you get this extra thing, which I think I know it's something that I would use every day. And so, yeah. Honestly, I've always been a huge fan, but I miss the old content for non-members. I'm sure. The reality is, I've done 1,000 videos, and I don't wake up every morning going, "Ooh, let's do this." And most times when I get into real conversations with people, I go, "What video should I do?" And then they give me a topic, and I go, "Great, we've done that 11 times. What video should I do?" Did that 6 times. Which video? Twice? Which video? Most you can go, "Well, you haven't been to Thailand yet. You haven't been to India." Like, yep, I'll start scheduling the $20,000 trips. We'll make 3 videos, recoup 3,000, go negative 17 grand. But yeah, if I'm being honest, I don't have the same vigor in the fish room as I had 15 years ago because not everything was brand new. There are things I find fascinating, like I love hanging out with the turtles and doing the stuff I do, but not everyone's into that. So I just do what I can do. You'll watch it. The good news is, as a non-member, it's been absolutely free for you. So I would say your return on investment has been great. And my return on investment is good too. We built an entire company off of this, so I'm not complaining. I think there's ways everybody can partake and enjoy and do what you participate at the level you want. Maybe you're in on the Facebook group, maybe you're in on the forum, maybe you're utilizing the advice center that we're building out weekly. I don't know if you guys are keeping tabs on that, but we continually, how many sections are we up to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We're up to 16 categories with most of them having 10 plus articles. So like, even though you might have seen this a few months ago, Corey talked about it, like we didn't lighten up on our commitment. So there's always stuff rolling in the background, and so like we have aquarium filtration, we have aquarium plant care, breeding aquarium fish, care guides for aquarium fish, care guides for aquarium plants, cookie cutter setups. So if you're going, what should I put in my 20? Guess what? Cookie cutter setups, DIY projects, fish diseases, fish food, fish room builds, how to get rid of algae, how to set up a fish tank, stuff related to memberships, tank maintenance, top 10 fish stocking ideas, all the different videos we've done there, understanding aquarium water. And each, basically every week or 2, we add another section, and we're going back and adding more articles and more videos into this. So this is a searchable catalog for you. If you've never been there, you're kind of missing out because one of the biggest feedback was, and the reason I'm bringing this up is when we ask people like, well, what video should I make? They don't know that we've done that video so many times already. And so by building out this resource center, the advice center, you can search it. So the search box that says, how can we help? That only searches all of these articles. And so by doing that, you can see if we made a video on it. Now, not every video is there yet, but it takes time. And unless you've done something like this, you don't realize that, okay, well, if it takes me 30 seconds to categorize every video and there's 1,000 of those, you start doing, you're like, wait, how many hours upon hours upon hours? And that's if I'm going as fast as I can in Excel to categorize stuff. And then actually like, oh, each one's got to build out a page. Like, oh, that takes half an hour. But long term, I expect we'll cover most people's needs. And that's all we can do. We can try. There's been a few people donating gifted memberships, so thank you for that. If you're interested in getting a gifted membership, you just need to be active with the channel. And so that means maybe liking, watching videos, being in the live streams. It basically ranks you based on how much you've interacted with the channel, and then it'll give you one if you're up towards the top of the list. So there's not really a way to game it other than like I watched a bunch of videos, I've been, interacting and doing those things. That's the best way to get it. What's the best way to contact me? I've been sending you a few emails, but not sure if it's right. There is no best way to contact me. People that figure out my email, I usually just ignore them. It's not that I don't want to talk to you. It's that I can't engage myself with the hundreds of conversations that try to start up every day. Customer service fields a lot of those every day. How do I talk with Corey? You can't. And then there's, my Facebook PMs, jam packed. A lot of time, every day, Facebook tells me, we're going to delete stuff because you've hit the maximum, right? And then there's people in the company get hit up. Like I know Zenzo got hit up for a suction cup underwater thing. And the problem is, it's not that I don't want to have the conversations or talk to people. It's that every day I can't have 30 different in-depth conversations and get anything in my life done. And so I take a willing step to go, okay, I need to filter that out. It just can't. But I'll put resources in like the advice center, the forum, Facebook, customer service, retail store, that you can find help. But to have conversations one-on-one, I just don't scale that well. At best, I could probably take 2 meetings a day, and that's only going to be 14 a week. And there's 500 people watching or more right now. So I learned early on, it's got to be a chance thing. You meet me in an airport, you meet me at an event, that's your time. You got your 3 minutes at an event. It's kind of the elevator pitch. If you really pique my interest there could be some follow-up. But most times, there's not. And I'm being candid here because I don't want false expectations. I've had people fly out and like you said, and it's like, well, yeah, I listened to it and I don't think it's a good idea, unfortunately. And it crushes their soul. And so I like to be very upfront because that's not enjoyable for me. Like I don't enjoy, I don't enjoy not enjoying someone else's idea. It just, fact of the matter is, and I have it with other creators and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, but you have the resources. You could launch this $2 million idea. And it's like, yeah, but I don't believe my family's future in this idea. Like, I realize you do, and maybe it'll work, but that doesn't mean I'm going to take the chance. So, what's my very best advice for a new store besides being a partner store? We are, and being open 7 days a week. Well, if you haven't already, Benjamin, and so other people may or may not know this, we find that there's very poor utilization in the business videos we make. So if you haven't spent the time, I highly recommend that. I film videos, release a new one every month for the RPP stores with something that I have found that will make running a store easier or more profitable or training your staff easier. These are all things that I'm building for my own team, but I'm sharing with the RPP stores as an extra benefit. And, most stores are very, very busy, and I get it. And most of these videos are under 20 minutes. You can usually take in the information, but parsing it and then actually deciding if it's something you want to use and implement, that takes time. And that would be my best advice. Since you're an RPP store, you have the ability to watch those videos. And in my opinion, they do put you at a competitive advantage to people who can't watch those videos. And, it kind of consolidates lots of advice I've been giving out over the last 10 years of running my own store. But we basically go, hey, this thing, we need our managers to know it. We need them to be able to have the resource to teach. And we'll also share that with stores. Clean bathroom? Yep. That's definitely, a clean bathroom is very important. Corey, maker of sponge filters, crusher of souls. Yeah. It's a very difficult position to be in when you have someone, like I remember one time this person packed up their whole family and they drove 8 hours to get there, and they had put like all of their money into these prototypes and stuff. And I was like, I appreciate the amount of, I appreciate the amount of effort that's been put in here, but this is not something that I'm interested in. And it's like a miniature version of like Shark Tank or something, and you can see the emotion on them as you're crushing it. And but there's it in my opinion, it does you no good to be like, oh no, I'm super interested. We should follow up about that. And then, mm, yeah. So Raymond says it is about new products. We are an aquatic plant production facility. Yep. I mean, so that email hits my spam 20 times a week. And you're gonna be like, no, it doesn't. And you're like, it does. Like the entire world is like, hey, we're doing tissue culture. Hey, we're another facility out of Singapore. Hey, 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 hey. And so it kind of your best bet is to do good things as your business, right? Your production facility. And at some point, we're gonna be like, oh wow, look at this thing going on, and we'll approach you. The reality is we won't have the attention span to follow up with you. That's just the reality. Like, even if you're the best thing since sliced bread, the odds are so against you, and there's so many sales pitches every day for everybody in the company that we just tune it out so we can stay focused on what we're doing. And it's not out of an eliteness thing. It's not out of like our stuff's going to be better than somebody else's. It's literally we can't get anything done if all we're doing is listening to the latest information. So there's always, it's kind of that like right place at the right time. We'd have to be looking for a new production facility, and you be in front of us at the right time, and you have the right stuff we're looking to do. That could work. But that's real hard to line up. I wish there was a way we could buy into the RPP videos. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't allow that because I don't, how do I say it? If I divulge sales tactics and things about our products, it will make us look bad because like, oh, you're just trying to sell that. You're like, that's literally why you make a product and you try to teach other store owners on how to sell it. Yes. Um, and also we want it to remain a perk for businesses, right? So we want our RPP stores to do well. We want that information. Not that we want to silo information like if you're not an RPP store, we want you to go out of business, but we want to make sure that the ones that are working with us have the best chance at staying in business. And so that's our commitment to it. So that's why it's not just open to the general public because yeah, it sounds wrong. I don't know how to explain it other than I know it's not fit for general consumption with the way we're teaching there because it just, unless you know profit margins and you know the prices of things and the way I'm talking, you're going to be like, this sounds like Corey's just all about money. And it's like, it is all about money because you have to like, I would assume Benjamin would attest to this. Like, you've got 4 employees on the floor on a Saturday. You've spent a lot of money ordering stuff in, getting it healthy, stocking products, paying rent, doing all of this. So at the end of that Saturday, you have $212 in profit that hopefully you can invest in the next Saturday and get a little bit bigger. And then you've got enough money at the end to like, hey, here's raises for people. And then, hey, here's, this thing that went wrong. This tank blew up and I had to buy another one. And so it's, without that extra context for everybody and making the video super long, I think it would just come off as look at them trying to maximize this and Corey doesn't care about the hobby. And the reality is I care a lot and I'm really trying to help stores make it in this competitive landscape so that the hobby does stay around. So when you have something horrible go down, you have a local fish store that cares, that has decent products, and will be open for you to go instead of like, well, I can only wait for my new heater or my meds online. Even as fast as we ship, that's not good enough sometimes. And so if you have a local store, I still recommend support them. Even if they're bad, try and find a way to find common ground of, I wish you guys kept your fish XYZ. That's what I would prefer. I will buy some food from you. I want to see you stay around. I hope we can do better in the future. Like, that's an important thing. So I hope everybody does that. And in my opinion, I still do this. If I go to a pet store, I'm going to buy something because I enjoy going there and just looking. And then I go, it costs them a lot of money comparatively to make sure they're open for me. All right. Is there a way to buy bulk brine shrimp eggs for the co-op, like without a spoon or a tin, and 1 pound at a time? Unfortunately, there is not. There's no savings. We've round and round with that with the manufacturers, and I mean, I have to look it up because I'm sure if you've listened to all of these podcasts, you'll be like, last time you said, but I believe if we sold it by the pound, we would save 3 cents. So the discount I could offer you would be 3 cents, which is insulting. And so it also would make us lose money because in the smaller size, everybody can use that, but not everybody can use a bigger can. So it'd be like if we were a pet store and we only sold 500-gallon aquariums, not everybody can use a 500-gallon aquarium. So unfortunately, and things could unlock, right? Tariffs could change, the landscape could change, we could find this product's highly unlikely for us to find another vendor because the hatch rate is so good. But on some products, if you don't like our pricing, maybe someday we find a different partner to work with and the pricing changes and maybe it works out for you. But on this one, it's brine shrimp between a rock and a hard place, I think. And a lot of it's the refrigerated cargo container and the frozen storage and all of the things that go into keeping that product to be its best. My local fish store had some sunset high fin variatus platies. I remember you saying that you're one of my favorites. Now I can see why. I bought 7 on the spot. Yeah, if they were growing up and looking their best, that is a good looking fish. All right. Where are the best tacos near the co-op? Well, I haven't tried them, so I can't. There wasn't a lot of tacos near Aquarium Co-op. The closest would have been Taco Time, which would have been the leader. There's a Taco Bell, which ain't nobody saying Taco Bell has the best tacos. But I will tell you, there is now a Honduran taco truck in our parking lot. And we worked late on Saturday, and so I bought Dean and the other employees dinner. And they all got burritos, and they all devoured them, and they were huge, and they were good. I got something called pastillos. To me, they looked like empanadas, and they were to die for. They only had the ground beef ones, which that was awesome because I was like, I'll take these pastillos, which I'm sure I'm murdering it. So for the people that know what I'm talking about, I fully get it. I have no idea how to say that. And they were like, well, sorry, we only have ground beef. And heck yeah, that's exactly what I was going to order. So I was stoked, and they were delicious. And so I let him know, the owner, first time I had interacted with this person, I said, hey, I've got a store event probably coming up here in the future, and we're going to have hundreds of people for the store expansion opening, and I'd like to work with you and just make sure that you got enough food on hand and the hours are right, so that we can feed the people, right? You still got to buy it and everything, but, if all of a sudden there's 300 people in the parking lot demanding tacos, because I tell people to go buy the tacos, and they only planned we only sell 120 tacos on a Saturday or whatever. We want them, as I explained to him, I want everybody in that complex to have a good day, not just me or our business. And what's funny, the employees have been eating there quite a bit because it's good food. And they were starting asking what are our hours, because they've noticed a correlation between Aquarium Co-op having lots of people coming and going, and lots of Aquarium Co-op people buy from the food truck. And so they were just going to start mirroring our hours and stuff. And I was like, finally, somebody who gets it. Work with us, and their business will be better off for it. Not that we just and now I'll anoint you, and everybody will have a good business. But I've always wondered why the businesses in our complex, especially the food businesses, weren't going out of their way to give a discount to our employees or offer some kind of working relationship, because it goes hand in hand. You go shopping for fish, you're gonna eat. You're gonna bring someone with you, you're gonna eat. And it's really easy to go, oh yeah, I love the food over here. When there's good food, and if the employees are getting, let's say they get, like, we offer a 30% discount to our employees for our stuff. If they got 30% off the food, they would be sending tons of people there. They already are sending tons of people there. So that's already happening. But, if you have lunch and you just eat a really good burrito and someone's like, hey, where should I eat? And you talk about the really good burrito you had, that's going to make them more and more money. And our clientele are people that on average come back every 23 days. And so you're going to start picking up like, yep, I'm going to order that burrito every 23 days. And it's win-win, by the way, because maybe you really love that burrito. This is before you own a business. I've talked about this in the business live streams. A really good restaurant is about the best thing you can have for where you want to put your fish store. Because if someone falls in love with the food, they get this natural craving, right? You start going, oh yeah, I hadn't had that pizza in a long time. Pretty soon you're going for the pizza. Well, guess what? You're also a fish nerd, so you're buying fish. And it goes the other way. Ooh, I really need to get food for the fish, and I better grab some food for me too. Have I had the birria tacos? I didn't. Someone had the birria in their burrito, but I haven't tried their birria yet. So, either way, hopefully when we do our event, you guys will buy a bunch of tacos and food from them, and their food, I mean, it's one for one, right? Like maybe I cut them on their best day and their food's terrible, but the employees are eating there 2 to 3 times a week, and they're like, oh yeah, it's amazing. And so I tend to believe it because I had good food. If I had to do it all over again, would I consider opening a new store in 2023? So if I already had all the online business in this YouTube channel, would I open one tomorrow? No, because I wouldn't have, I don't have the time to spend in there like I want to. Now, if you were saying, if it's 2023 and you don't have online presence and you don't have an online store, is 2023 a decent year to open up a retail fish store? My answer would be yes, assuming you have the experience to go along with it. Like, whether it's 2023, 2028, 2017, 2013 when I opened, if you don't have the 5 years before of running another store and knowing the vendors and the industry, it's going to be a hard time no matter when you start. So start with learning the industry, and then you'll know the answer to that question. But yes, I do think we love pets just as much today as we did 5 years ago, as we did 10 years ago, as we will 10 years from now. I finally got my first live stream. Welcome, 2 peas in a Polish. What's the most embarrassing aquarium co-op fail ever? I'm trying to remember. One, I can't remember exactly. There's one mistake that cost us 50 grand, but I can't remember the product that didn't like it was not good. But I'm trying to think of the most embarrassing part. Most embarrassing. Usually it involves some other company with us, where I'm like promising, and then like Aquarium Co-op, we try everything in our power to live up to what we say to. But when we use another company with us, they don't think we're that serious. And so, what is something that's the most embarrassing? There's probably 100 stories, but I can't think of any. And I'm not even trying to hide them, because a good embarrassing story I find hilarious, and it's just part of growth. I'm sure people around me have 100 examples. Like my wife's like, wasn't that embarrassing? Yeah, probably. Darn it. I'll try to think of something, because now it's gonna look like I'm trying to hide it, but that's not true. I really can't think of something off the top of my head. All right, we'll start with something embarrassing right now. All right, here's what we're doing. It's been so long since I've gotten a haircut, and my hair, I basically have to take a shower right before I go live. Otherwise, my hair, because I have to wear headphones a lot of the day, you can see that just touching my hair, it's already out of control, right? When I do this, I get this like hair back here going, and it will be that way for the whole day, and it's a nightmare. But so here's what we're doing. We're doing a poll. We're doing a poll, and the poll is. Let me get it set up here. Let me get it set up. I don't do polls enough because it's fun. All right, here's the poll. The poll is, do I get a haircut this week? You vote, cut it this week. If I do not get a haircut this week, vote, wait a week. And we'll see what the will of the people is. Do I need to get a haircut ASAP? And by the way, I do have an appointment for a haircut tomorrow. If it comes down that I'm not getting a haircut, I will show up there tomorrow and I will pay for my haircut in full and not get the haircut. Because I don't want this to turn into a thing where it's like, oh, well, we're going to deny someone who would have made money off me. So I'm putting the poll in, whether I get a haircut or not. And I'm going to do this. I'll commit to it. I'll commit to it for, I don't know, some crazy amount of time. Because I'm sure there's going to be a time where, like, it actually is inhibiting my life in like 2 years, 5 years, something like that. But until the vote goes the way where I get a haircut, I'm not getting a haircut. We're gonna make this its own meme thing, or not. I might get a haircut tomorrow. Like, it literally is scheduled tomorrow, and I will drive there and I will pay them either way, whether I get a haircut or not. I'm gonna give them the money. So, oh no, it's coming down. All right. I might get a haircut, and we'll see at the end. So we got another 30 minutes. You can get your grandmas to log in and vote to get me a haircut. My grandma. Hopefully she's logging in, getting me a haircut. Because there's a point, like my wife kind of loves it, because she calls it when I'm done with the headphones and stuff, and my hair is really getting crazy. She calls it the mad scientist look. I got mad scientist hair. I do have an owie right here. On Saturday when I was working, we were installing lights, and then I had to get up, and I caught the edge of an acrylic tank and cut my head open and bled a little bit. Left it a nice little bruise. Aquariumcoop hats available on the website. I did wear a hat yesterday in a meeting because I was like, look, I took a shower earlier and I'm wearing headphones all day. I gotta wear a hat. How long has Aquariumcoop been around? We officially opened in 2013. So 10 years. Yeah. I live near SeaTac, and driving to the co-op is a journey. But I'm going to try and get my partner to take me there for my birthday in a couple of months. All right, well, Nico Fish, hopefully the new store will be open. It'll be 3 times as big. And maybe you'll come up for the event. We're going to do an event. I just don't know what day yet. We want to make sure it's fully done. We keep adding more things like, oh yeah, we got to do this. Ooh, that'd be nice. Let's do that. But we're definitely putting in long days, long hours, getting it done. So we're getting towards we're definitely on the downhill. Like every time we're there, like, ooh, we got a bunch more done. Okie dokie. I always vote for procrastination. Does that mean you just don't vote? Isn't that the ultimate procrastination vote? I have a sneeze coming, by the way, so guard your ears if you're listening on the podcast. You know what's ultra embarrassing? Didn't happen today, but I know an embarrassing moment is when you sneeze in your shoulder and then you like live stream with it the whole time. A pretty embarrassing moment, I would say. There was definitely a live stream, and someone's seen it. I could tell you probably which one, where I was literally picking my nose, waiting for the live stream to start. And that kind of became a meme for like a few months, but you know, I'm vain enough to be like, all right, let's make sure there's no, bats in the cave here. I was literally like just picking my nose, getting ready to go live, and it was live. So that was pretty embarrassing. Definitely taught me like, okay, just assume the camera's always live. But, I find it funny, and especially things where like, look, everybody's picking their nose, just not everybody's doing it on camera. And I'm mature enough to know like, yeah, pick my nose on camera in front of hundreds of people. Everybody's got to pick their nose, and you would do the same thing if you were gonna go. This live stream is gonna have how many thousands of people watch it and live forever? Like, let me check for the bats in the cave. Another poll for how it's cut. Well, we're starting with just a haircut or not. We'll get crazy down the road, and maybe there's maybe there's an evolution to this of like no haircut or bowl cut, or no haircut or crew cut, no haircut, mullet, no haircut. Like who knows? Who knows where this is going? It could also just be, I just get a haircut because you voted. Do I play any video games? Heck yeah, I do. I play EverQuest. Old school nerd. Because it's slow enough that I can work while playing. Played a lot of WoW. I don't play WoW. Even though I played Classic when it came back again, it is, of the classes I play and the way I like to play PvP and that kind of stuff, it is actually just playing video games and not working. So, that ends up being, oh, I just didn't work for 4 hours when I should have been working. And whereas, like, if I play EverQuest or I'm trying to think of anything else, but sometimes every once in a while I'll play a little tower defense game on the Switch. Anything I can just pause and put down when an email comes through, because I don't like to keep employees waiting for my action if I can help it. Get the Corvus cut. Good. Let's see. Yeah, tonight we got date night again, so we're going out to eat, and then who knows? Maybe I kind of want to sit outside, so we'll see if I convince my wife to either get it to go or sit outside after we eat at home. We've got the animal kingdom back here now, man. We're feeding so much bird seed, and there's so many different types of cool birds, and we have a native squirrel. We got other squirrels too, but we got a native one, little baby. Starting to name them. We got an animal kingdom going on, so it's pretty fun. EQ Emu or live. I do play for EverQuest. This is the smallest niche of the audience right now. I do play TLPs. I'm not playing Oakwind because I think that rule set is not good. And I do play currently on an EQ Emu, and I'm nerdy enough that I'm even leading the raids. Ugh. I don't like it, but it's a good outlet, though. I will say it's one of the few things in my life, kind of like watching a movie at the movie theater, where I actually check out of business, even if it's just a couple hours, because like, oh, I got to lead these people, and then I go like, oh yeah, I got all this crazy stress at work again. Let me get back to that. Hope you've seen the South Park episode with WoW. I've never seen that. I mean, this is how I game. That guy died, I'm pretty sure. Like the guy that played, or the guy that like looked like that cartoon in real life that kind of became a real life meme, I think actually did pass away. So that's not good. But to be fair, I am not the South Park connoisseur. My wife loves it. I just can't get into it. Do I play Magic the Gathering? Yes. Did I play at a highly competitive level? Yes. Have I won tournaments? Yes, both local and non-local. Did I go every weekend to the game center in Seattle through high school? Yes. Did I have to bum a ride? Yes. Did I run a gaming store? Yes. Did I used to be a card dealer? Yes. Do I know probably way too many Magic terms that only Magic nerds would know? Yes. Do I want to build the ultimate vintage cube? Yes, I do. Definitely a gamer, but I show no mercy. So I do play board games with my friends. I haven't been in like a month and a half, but I only try to kill you as hard as possible. There will be no alliances, there will be no favorites, and if I don't win, I will be sad. Yeah, the guy who cosplayed it passed away. Yep. I think didn't the Peter Griffin cosplay guy pass away too? Not good. What's his poll looking like? Oh no, we're at the wait a week. I'm interested to see that, like, if after 1 week people are like, all right, get a haircut, you look ridiculous. Will anyone at the co-op be at the creator or the Keystone Clash? I don't believe so. I don't think so. You look like a youth with the long hair. That's right. I've got some dwarf sag in the 75. Is there anything that will eat the algae off the blades? Not going to be eaten by my 5-inch ghost knife. I would try some flagfish. Florida flagfish, what I would try. Loved the old 800-gallon goldfish tank back in the day. Any fancies nowadays? And how long do they live? My large ranchu is 5 years. They can live a stupid long time. That being said, I personally believe it's the fish keeper who loses interest. And so then what happens is we get a little lax in the care, or we have to move, or something happens. We either give it away or we just get lazy. And so I think I think most goldfish are probably going to die in that 5 to 10 year range. And some people are like, mine's 30, and they didn't lose interest. I think I'd probably lose interest just because I'm just guessing I would. Right now I've only got shabunkins, but I'm considering putting them in the main tank. So I really am enjoying them. Am I an anime fan? Nope. That's classify that under like tea and coffee and anime, things that I just can't get into. I think I'm of the opinion like I should like this, but I don't. Do I play chess? Only enough to know what all the pieces do, but I couldn't be like, oh, you're starting with this pawn, you're pulling a Taco MacGyver. So I'm not into it enough. But could I play with other people who barely know chess? Yes. Would I make all of my pieces move in the correct directions? Yes. But I can't recognize strategies. I can't play 3 moves ahead or anything like that. I'm a novice chess player at best. That being said, I could definitely see myself nerding out on it, getting pretty good, and then be like, hey, yeah, I'm halfway decent. But I just never have. What's Magic the Gathering? Is it a video game or a card game? It's a card game. It also is a video game technically too. There was, for the PlayStation, and a PC game, the Planeswalkers. But it was kind of imagine it as just the first version of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! That came out, and it's a very strategic game that it's been rated by Mensa a bunch of times, and it's up there with, like a lot of times if you were really good at Magic the Gathering, you'd also dabble in professional poker, and there's high stake tournaments and things like that, and yeah, if you snoop around on my Facebook page, if you don't follow me there already, I think you can see pictures of the team. So we used to have a team, and we'd travel around to different states, and we would pool all of our resources. So we would take a team of like 5 or 6 people. Our goal would be to take 5 or 6 places of the top 8, pool all the money, split it the 5 or 6 ways, and then keep doing that. And we would do that. We'd just keep going around. We never really flew to them because that was too expensive for the return. And because we were West Coast, we never end up going to, oh gosh, I can't even think of the big conventions we didn't get to go to, but I'm old enough around to know, like, the oldest Magic website I can remember the Dojo, where it listed deck lists, and then I hung out a lot on the Mana Drain because I played a lot of Vintage and Type 1.5 or Legacy, I guess it would be called now. But yeah, but I want to say Gen Con. I want to say that was the big one that I never got to go to, but played a lot of Star City games, qualifiers, and all that kind of stuff. But because I was into vintage and legacy, a lot of times that would just be cash prizes and not really so much qualifiers to go on to um, other stuff. I would say maybe my claim to fame, or what I consider to be my claim to fame, if you're a Magic nerd like me, at the Game Center, I played in a teams event. So it was me, Mike Thompson, who passed away unfortunately a few years ago, and I think it was uh, Jed was our third teammate, maybe Jed Dolbier, and it was Type Two. I think it was three different formats because it was like a 3-day event or 2-day event, and we make it to top 8. And then we got to do something we had never done before, and that was what's called a Rochester draft. And so every pack gets opened and laid face on the table, and as a team, you would pick the cards you want to build your deck with. And so we had to build 3 decks out of the cards we would draft, and it was open face on the table, Rochester draft. And it was crazy sets because they were opening legends and other stuff. So yeah, we'd never gotten to do that. We didn't win the event. I think it got weird. I think it took so long to do the Rochester draft and everything. I don't even think they finished. I think we got down to semifinals and we ended up all just splitting because it was already like 4 o'clock in the morning and the Game Center was like, we're way over. We need to close. And no one really wanted to get everybody back for the Sunday, or maybe it was Monday. But anyway, it was fun. Have you ever tried Magic the Gathering Arena? Yeah, I don't like the online version of Magic the Gathering because you can't read your opponent. So, yeah, so even though I've drafted and I've played there, and without being able to read your opponent and get the tells and also bluff and do those types of things, I don't think it's the same game. It's close, but it's not the same. Taco MacGyver, someone who can make a taco out of anything. I like that. I do like that. It's funny listening to your old streams because you've changed your mind so much. You said you would probably never have your products in other stores, have Ladybird in the 800 gallon, or ever ship to Canada. Yeah. No, I definitely, I'm probably the biggest walking contradiction. And I hope in 10 years when someone's listening to these live streams, like the last, let's say, year or two, they've seen that my outlook has changed to of like, instead of saying never, like it doesn't make sense right now, but you never know what the future holds, because in the 10 years that I've been in business, things that I thought were never can become like, oh, that's now a thing. And that was never on the table before. I remember the first time I ever ran into that was, I will never, my first, what do they call those things? Like a self-limiting belief, maybe? Is that what they call that? My first self-limiting belief was I'll never be able to compete with Amazon. So I won't. And so when I built the store originally, my plan was to carry live fish, heaters, frozen foods, and medicines. Because those are the things that you can't wait for and you want to buy in person. And I didn't want to compete with Amazon because I could not compete. Now, knowing 10 years later, it's actually crazy easy to compete with Amazon if you do all the right steps, which in comparison for something that seemed impossible, to now know it is possible. It just takes a different set of skills, a different set of, money and direction and all of that. And because when I worked for another store and talked to other people, it was Amazon's always the bad guy, and they kind of still are, sure, but you can compete with them. You just have to go about it. You have to put effort towards it, and that is something that a lot of stores weren't doing. And we're now proof of it. So from only selling things that Amazon couldn't sell to here we are. We sell basically everything, same stuff Amazon sells, as in they sell lights, they sell filters, they sell all these things. And the way we found it was like, oh, let's change the product. Let's make the product. Let's take the hobbyists and what they want, and let's try and give that to them. As opposed to Amazon's approach, where if we sell 72 different sponge filters, obviously we must offer the one they want, when what we found was most people actually just want to choose from the best one or two and have it explained what are the differences between the two, instead of There are times when it's fun to research all 72 different sponge filters, but there's a lot of times where most people have busy lives and they just go, well, I just want to make sure I don't buy the wrong one. And that's a big difference. There's a big difference between researching long enough to make sure you don't buy the wrong one versus researching to buy the right perfect one for your situation. The right perfect one for your situation, enjoyable. Researching to make sure you don't get bamboozled, not enjoyable. Trying to read through Amazon reviews and figure out which ones are the ones that are fake and all of that, and they've offered money and compensation for the reviews, and that's not fun. Do I have investors? I have one. I have one silent business partner. Well, he's not really silent anymore. He works in the business, but Steve is the one who believed in me originally. Well, some other people believed in me as well. My wife and a friend named Andy both believed in me. Andy helped build the store and basically loaned me $50,000 where he worked for 6 months for free, and I owed him $50,000 in materials and work time. And Steve invested $50,000 in cash with no strings attached, so that if I had gone out of business, I would not have owed him any money. And Andy did the same thing where he's like, you'll just file for bankruptcy and I just won't get paid. That's fine. And so then my wife definitely supported me, and she paid all the bills. Like, yeah, we were eating top ramen, but she paid for that top ramen because for the first year, I don't think I made anything. And then the second year, I paid myself $500 a month. And then by year 3, I think I was making about $40,000 $40,000 a year. And so that was all Katie funding all of the home life stuff. And that was, rent and all of that. And really it went to the $500 because the $500 was my half of the rent at the time. We were living in a duplex, I think, at the time. And so, yeah, but are there investors now? No, it's all, as cheesy as it's about to sound, it's all you guys. You guys are the investors. You buy a sponge filter, we make an extra $1. We put that $1 into making the next thing. Hopefully you buy that. There's another $1. And it might sound weird when I say it's $1 because it's like, well, clearly you're making more than $1 when I buy a sponge filter. By the time you pay for the shipping and all the employees and all the stuff that makes Aquarium Co-op run, like it is like $1 at the end. So even if you're like, I paid $12, you only made $1? It's like, yeah, someone had to pay Irene to write blog articles and the advice center, and someone had to pay Candy to be here to help moderate, and someone had to pay for these stupid expensive lights and the Enjoy Nature Daily signs, so all this stuff, and so we kind of have tens of thousands of little investors you guys buy from us, and every time you need another thing of food, make $1. That $1 goes into like, hey, once we get $4,000, let's launch the camping mug that I've been testing. And we just keep throwing the money back into the thing and hoping I've tested it enough that we don't lose the money. That's really what it comes down to. That is such a good point. I want someone to tell me this is the right thing, and the co-op does that. Yeah, I've built my reputation on over 10 years. I say I'm going to do something, and then I will honestly try and do it, or I will say why I couldn't do it. I will only endorse products I actually use and have tested. Even when there's big sums of money on the table, I won't do it. And I think the reason Aquarium Co-op works, outside of great employees and some other good business stuff going on, is that when I say I really like this thing, you guys have watched me go through so many things over 10 years that that by the time I say something I really like, I must be very passionate about it. So, it doesn't work. Not everything works for everybody, but the fact that Hoka shoes, like I really like them, and a lot of people like them. The fact that, what are some other things I've done? Like people were asking, it came up in the Facebook group yesterday, what's my favorite water bottle? I've got a favorite water bottle I've recommended. I don't make any money from it, but I really love that water bottle. I used it today when I worked out. And so being that I have a passion for finding the best of everything, I feel like why not share that? Even like I still believe this thermos drink caddy thing is the best one on the market. Of all the ones I now own 4 of these, and I've tested other, like this is the Hydro Flask one. I've got other ones. This is the best one. I'm telling you right now. Does the camping mug make your drinks taste better? No. Everyone knows your drink tastes better out of a camping mug when there is smoke in your face. And also, everybody knows that smoke follows beauty. So when you're dying, it means you're the most beautiful. Would I be interested in silent investors now? No. There's, for lack of a better term, kind of a list of people that definitely want in that. There's people that we know personally that want to be in. And then there's private equity firms that email us and try to bribe us with lunches and things monthly. And try to, like, well, maybe I can plug my people in with your analytics team. Maybe this, like, what else can we do for you? And they're trying to prime the pump for if we ever want to sell or let them in. And I've remained staunch in my resilience to that of I never plan to sell and I never plan to let them in because I don't want to jeopardize what Aquarium Co-op does. And the best example I can give of that, make sure it's still true. Bulk Reef Supply was bought by a private equity firm. And in my opinion, what I've watched happen is we took super knowledgeable saltwater people, and when they apply the outside influence to it, that's where we start seeing like the plushie of the month and the kids stuff. So it used to be really on the front page. Maybe they're not even doing it anymore. I don't know. Let's see. Education. Maybe it didn't work out for them. But I see the influence coming in, and I don't think it's necessarily better. And so, like right now, I know there's a big arms race for basically the freshwater thing. Like I can see right here that there's now fresh.bulkreefsupply.com and saltwateraquarium.com launched freshwateraquarium.com because basically people are realizing 90% of the market is freshwater and they've been in the 10%. And as they've seen companies rise and do well in freshwater, they're going, hey, we need a piece of that bigger pie. And so, yeah, I guess, there's just, I like having the autonomy over my business. Like I see right here, they have free shipping at $49. Great. Pay over time with a firm. And I'm not thrilled with the pay over time model for aquarium stuff. Like I don't want people to go into debt to keep an aquarium. And I think overall, I understand it for, I understand it for maybe businesses where like, hey, I need to put this on credit to sell it. I can understand that part, but as a home hobbyist, I watch a lot of people buy, imagine you buy now, pay it later on a bunch of fish or plants that you kill. And now you've got a $400 debt for something you don't even have. I just don't see how that doesn't create ill will between the buyer and the company. And we don't want that. My goal every day is to hopefully sell you something and you be happy at the end. And I just feel like adding extra complications of more people like, I invested money, I want more return, I want this, I want that, is not going to lead the company in a direction it should be going instead of where it will go. I'm drinking this upside down. All right. Why do you not offer an affiliate type program for creators so they can help show the potential of your products? Is it a loss of monetary type issue or other? Nope, we have a full-blown affiliate program. We have, I think, about 10 people in it. We also have another program that is Friends of Aquarium Co-op, where they just get free stuff. For most of those people are just helpful at events, or they've done stuff in the past where we just go, you've done something that wasn't a paid position, but you've continually been there to help us, and we are at a point where we would love to give back. And so we have two different programs, and yes, one is an affiliate program where people are earning money, and the other one is they just get some free stuff because they've been helpful to us over the years. And so like a good example of that would be we have moderators on the Facebook forum, and some of them are paid, like Candy and Serena, and I think Asia might be there. And then we've got mods that aren't paid, and they're just, like they're helping here and there, and they're not the official, response from the Aquarium Co-op. And we send out a little thing. It's like, hey, it's been a month or two. You want pick some stuff out of this list, and then it gets shipped out to them. Just just a little thank you. I call it like the street team, basically, of just like, hey, you're out there, you're helping us. That's great. And we don't put people on that like email us. It's mostly that we will be at an event or we will see someone standing out, and we go, you know what? That's who we want to help. And so we go, hey, if you're interested, we can help you with this. Like, we'll give you some free stuff, or we'll do that. And yeah, so we do. We have, the company has gotten more robust year after year. We have more people working for us. We have more knowledge. We have more things. And yeah, you practically need a line of credit to set up a new reef. I mean, that's kind of true. I will admit that. I still disagree with another line of credit to do something that luxury, which happens all the time. I get it. Like, you go to Costco and you buy a TV and you put it in your credit card. Like, yep, I get it. But when you read the studies, and I'm a big studies guy, what the majority, and it's not everybody, so let me be clear. I'm not talking about anybody specific, but the numbers show the people that are mostly utilizing the split the payment are people that have already maxed out credit cards. So it's just another line of credit that hasn't been maxed yet. And I can't help but feel like, this is not setting people up for success or animals for success. So imagine you spend, let's say you get a $400 line of credit, and you buy the plants and the light and the tank and the thing, and there it is. And now your fish are sick, and you don't have the money to buy the meds because you've spent all the credit. Like, it leaves me with this uneasy feeling. And in the right hands, people know how to manage it, and it's fine, it's great, and I have no problem with it. And in the other hands, I just don't want Aquarium Co-op to be like, oh, I owe X amount of money to Aquarium Co-op because I did this, and now it's lingering on for years. And instead, I'd rather just go, yep, you can buy from our competitor. We will lose out on that money. I understand. But I don't want to create the ill will that can happen. Do I ever go to Aquashella in Dallas? I've been there, 2 or 3 years? Just didn't go this year. If y'all had pay over time options, I would have to have you drop ship me all your shipments. I personally think a live animal with pay over time is playing with fire. It's the same reason we don't do pre-orders. I'm sure we could sell a ton of stuff, and then it needs to like come in, like, uh-oh, didn't come in, or uh-oh, was made incorrectly. Like, that just seems like a risk that doesn't always need to be taken. Dang it. It's 6 o'clock. All right. I was just looking, and at the top was cut it this week, and I thought 45%. I was like, oh, I'm getting a haircut. But it says wait a week at 55%. So I will be going to my barber, and I will tell her no haircut today, and I will pay for it. I'm actually going to pay for this haircut and the one I missed from calling out from COVID. They're a small business, and in general, you only book your appointments ahead of time. And I did this one other time during COVID when I had been potentially exposed, and the odds of them filling that vacancy is low. And because I reserved the time, I feel indebted for that. So I'll pay for both and let them know, well, we'll see if next week, once I get the okay, I'll schedule an actual haircut. So no haircut this week. I'm ending the poll. There you go. 55% wait a week, 44%. That means 1% must like change their vote or something. Will I be in Daytona? At the moment, no. I don't have plans to be at basically any event. In fact, I've canceled my trip to Europe because I want to focus on business and the summer. So being that I'm spending Saturdays and other days building the retail store, I last year, earlier this year, we didn't do we didn't barbecue outside last year or any campfires or anything because I was so busy and the smoke was bad. And then this year I was like, okay, well, I don't want to miss the whole summer again. Like that's a good time to be here. And so yeah, so I canceled that trip. I might reschedule it, but I want to focus on work. I want to focus on the live streams. I want to get this back to a regular thing again all the time. There's a bunch of things I want to do. I want to get more active in the fish room, and in my opinion, working all my extra time at the retail store doesn't leave me much room for the fish room. And then if I'm gone for 3 weeks, that's really not going to leave me much room. And then pretty soon it's October, and I haven't got anything done in the fish room, right? Because there's still all the products I want to launch and work on and stuff like that. So if I'm canceling other trips, it basically means I'm not adding on Daytona. So it's nothing to do with Aquashella. It's fun. I like going to them, that kind of stuff. It's just it doesn't make sense. I don't have time, I guess. That's hippie Corey. Here we come. That's right. Let's see here. No haircut this week. We'll see. We'll see what next week, what next week holds. Johnny from Dan's Fish says, so many people want to pre-order fish. That just seems absurd to me. We have no idea when we'll get that rare Cory again, but we could probably sell a couple hundred. Yep. The other thing, what you'll find out happens, because we've tried this kind of stuff in the past in the retail store, is you'll get a bunch of people lined up trying to buy stuff. Because let's say you can get 20 of this rare Cory, and someone pre-buys 18, there's 2 left, now they're super angry, they didn't even get a chance to buy them, now they pre-order them. And what happens in our retail store, what used to happen, is we'd get a bunch of people on a list. They'd finally come in 9 months later, and we go, here you go, Johnny, we have got this rare thing you wanted. And you go, oh, I actually found them somewhere else 4 months ago, so I don't need them. And then we go, oh no, all right, call the next person. Yeah, I'm about to go off on vacation, so it's not a good time for me right now. Okay, call the next person. I actually just had a baby. It doesn't really make sense. Okay, call the next person. I just lost my job. And you get to the end and you're like, we literally have fish that aren't going to sell even though there was 6 people on the list. And so we stopped doing all the pre-orders of that kind of stuff unless you prepay, pre-order. We'll try and order them in for you. And if they don't come in, we'll refund your money and we'll move along. But for the most part, we basically just do what's in the store is what we have for sale, because it would be a full-time job. People calling up, you still interested in this? When are you coming to get it? How long have we got to hold it for? What about this? What about this? Oh, you only want it if there were this male-female ratio. Oh, you only want it, and it didn't work for us. So, all right. How's the store coming along? Any new ideas? Yeah, a new idea came from Joel on Monday. We're putting a sink near the fish bagging station so that we can dump out water testing water. So little tweaks like that. And it was like, that sounds amazing. Because right now in the store, you bring in a water sample and you bring it in like a baggie or something. And then you go, oh yeah, I don't need that. And then you kind of just, you like set it somewhere and it's kind of a leaky Ziploc bag and move on to the next person. Where if we can literally just go, oh, okay, great. Dump it in the garbage, moving on. So that's going to be a great addition that I've never had in a store, but I think it's going to pay some dividends. I'm like, all right. All right. I overextended when I moved out, just managing to recover. Yeah, I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, there are so many things I want to do in my personal life and in business and in the fish room that it's more than anybody can do. So I have to make concessions. And the thing that I am most missing right now, that I feel, I really want to be back in my fish room, connected. I want to shop fish at night. look at Aquabid, look at Dan's Fish, look at Akahuna. I want to go, ooh, that's going to be so neat. I want to set that tank up. I want to breed those. I want to get back into that mode. But I've got date night tonight. I was getting a haircut tomorrow. We got to hang hummingbird feeders. I got to do grandma on Sunday. We got to build a retail store. We got to do this. I know I have to send a check and some paperwork for a state to register Easy Green as an agricultural fertilizer. And it has to be me because I have to write a check because they don't take online payment, which means I have to write a physical check and mail it. And so there's all these little things that are just in a row that are seemingly somehow not more important, but in the way of me going, all right, let's film the turtle video. Let's do the stuff. And there's some stuff coming in. Yeah, got to take the dogs to the groomers tomorrow. That's on the docket too. And so all these little things are in the way. But if I can free up enough time, I want to be out in the fish room a few days a week and truly playing, experimenting, having fun again. And so that means I have to offload a bunch of things. And so as I do try and do that, but there just always seems to be other stuff popping up. And I think I was doing really well until I went to China. That basically the week before China, being in China for 2 weeks, coming back, testing positive for COVID for another week. I'm just now starting to get to come up for air of like, okay, I've actually got 20 minutes that I could do something. And so, yeah, there's still, like right now, I'm not set up to show you guys, but we're working on product packaging for the new aquariums we're going to be selling at the retail store. I made all the modifications I wanted, and they're gonna be great. But there's just stuff like that we're working on. We're working on the campfire mug. There's all these things that just need another 30 minutes of your time. So, all right. China derailed me. It kind of did. Yeah, I had a good clip going. So. Yeah, I have rental properties and people are first saying, can you hold this for me? I tell them, sure, I'll hold it for you until the next person wants to rent it. I mean, that's kind of how the world works. All right, so I've got a date night. We're going out to eat. And we're back to setting date nights because if we don't set a date night, I will fill in with work. I'd be sending that check tonight. I'd be doing some of the stuff I'm going to do tomorrow right now. So we're going to go do our date night, make sure we still stay together. We've been together a long time. And I'll be back next Wednesday. Don't forget to compliment somebody. That was a firework. Wednesday's probably running right now. Don't forget to compliment somebody. I heard from somebody that there was someone who didn't get a compliment last week. And if we all compliment someone and they compliment someone, eventually everybody gets a compliment. So... mullet game getting stronger. I'll see you next week. We'll do the poll again. We'll chat about some aquarium related stuff, business stuff. Who knows? We will do it. And as David say, one thing at a time, my dude. Enjoy date night. No truer words have been said. We're going to go eat. Then maybe we'll sit outside and enjoy the burbs. And then there we go. Yes, this date night determines our staying together. That's right. This is a pivotal date night right now. This is for all the marbles. So, see ya. Thanks for hanging out. I know it's summer. It's beautiful out. You could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. I appreciate that. And we'll see